Hey, it's finally Foundation Friday. If you're new here on Fridays, I sit down and talk about a new or old, we don't discriminate here, foundation that I've been trying out. I do multi-day wear tests using a variety of tools, techniques, products, whatever. So if you're interested in hearing more about the new Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation, then please keep on watching. Before jumping into the review, I do want to give you a little background information on Rare Beauty. Rare Beauty is a brand created by Selena Gomez. Its purpose is challenging unrealistic standards of perfection. In Selena's own words, it's not about being someone else, but being who you are. This is makeup made to feel good in without hiding what makes you unique. Airy and breathable, our skin-loving formulas go on easy for adjustable coverage and a fresh finish that always looks like you. In addition to launching her beauty brand, Selena also created Rare Impact. I've included a link in the description box so you can get further information. But in short, the goal of the Rare Impact Fund is to raise $100 million over the next 10 years to help address the gaps in mental health services for underserved communities. From the first Rare Beauty products sold onward, 1% of all sales, as well as funds raised from partners, will be dedicated to the Rare Impact Fund that aims to increase access to mental health resources. Now on to the review. The Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation retails for $29 and you get 1 fluid ounce, which is pretty standard for a foundation. There are 48 shades in this foundation, as well as 48 corresponding concealer shades that range from light to deep. I picked up the shade 160C, which is light with cool pink undertones. I do think this is a pretty good shade match, but I am interested in going into a Sephora to see if I can find a better shade match. I'm going to insert some swatches here of the Rare Beauty foundation compared to some other foundations in my collection. Rare Beauty foundation in the shade 160 Cool. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation in the shade 2 Cool. This is my closest shade match. Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint in the shade Rendezvous. Becca Skin Love in the shade Ivory. Pat McGrath Foundation in the shade L6. And the Makeup Forever Reboot Foundation in the shade Pastel Beige R208. Pulling up the details on Sephora, it's a weightless foundation with concentrated pigments that feels barely there while providing buildable medium to full coverage with a natural finish. It is good for normal, dry, combination, and oily skin types. Featuring a convenient doe foot applicator, this foundation delivers pure pigments packed in a serum-like base, making it easy to blend and build coverage while evening out skin tone and hiding the look of pores, no clogging or caking. With a botanical blend of lotus, gardenia, and water lily, it calms and nourishes skin for comfortable long wear in 48 shades. For dry skin, it is recommended to moisturize and then follow with the Always an Optimist primer sold separately for best results. Suggested usage. Be sure to moisturize first, then prep skin with Always an Optimist illuminating primer sold separately for best results. Shake up your foundation to make sure the pigments are evenly dispersed throughout. Dot onto cheeks, forehead, and chin. Blend with your fingers, our Liquid Touch foundation brush, or Wet Liquid Touch multitasking sponge, each sold separately. Less is more. Add a second layer only where needed. Now onto packaging. I know that I saw somewhere that Selena said the packaging was designed with people with mobility issues or disabilities in mind, but I cannot find that video anywhere. If I'm able to find a link to that video, I will include it in the description box. The ball is supposed to be easier to grip for people with mobility issues or disability, as well as the doe foot makes it easier for application purposes, which really adds to the inclusivity of the line. Practicality of the packaging aside, I'm a really big fan of it. I think the ball is really cute and it makes it distinguishable among my collection. And I also like how the branding is consistent throughout the product line. I am not, however, a fan of the doe foot applicator. I don't mind the doe foot on the other products, but for the foundation particularly, I would have liked a pump, or at least the option to buy a pump separately, like some other brands give you the option to do. I really just don't like the guesswork involved in getting consistent applications. The texture of this foundation is thin, but it's not runny. It's super lightweight and easily applied with your fingers. A little can go a long way, and it can be built up without feeling heavy. It is a serum formula, and it glides effortlessly over your skin without clinging to dry patches or enhancing any texture. Also, it's completely unscented. Before I get into my final thoughts, I'm going to insert some clips from my 3-day wear test. As always, the first wear test is done without any additional products. I applied a little to my face first and blended that out with my fingers. I really liked the coverage and how little effort was needed to blend it out. I noticed when I applied additional dots on top of that first layer of foundation that the dots seemed to dry down faster, which meant I needed to work quicker to blend the foundation in. I don't like how it looked building the foundation up with my fingers, but using my fingers to apply the initial layer of foundation is my favorite application technique. I completely forgot that I was wearing foundation this day and almost forgot to take it off before going to bed. Nearly all of the foundation had worn off by the 12-hour mark. On the second day, I primed using a mix of the First Aid Beauty Hydrating Primer and the Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer. I don't love the two mixed together. I feel like the Rare Beauty Primer made the First Aid Beauty Primer less hydrating on my face. I used the Real Techniques No. 200 brush on one side of my face and the charcoal-infused Billion Dollar Brow Sponge on the other side. I tried putting some product from the doe foot onto a palette and working off of that, but it honestly wasn't worth the effort. Normally, I really enjoy how the 200 brush applies foundation, but during this test, I had a really difficult time with it. It seemed to apply the foundation on top of my skin, but it was never able to buff or absorb in. I chose the Billion Dollar Brow Sponge because it's denser and I thought it would absorb less product, since this is a thin formula. I definitely didn't get great coverage with the sponge and noticed that it picked up the foundation from my nose. By the end of the night, I noticed gathering around my nose, and my more textured areas were very noticeable. On day 3, which was actually day 5, I used the Vitamin Glow Primer on one half of my face and the Becca First Light Primer on the other side. My main issue with this foundation up to this point was how it lays on top of my face without becoming one with it. I noticed almost immediately how well this foundation wore on top of the Becca Primer. It really looked like it was my real skin, whereas on the Vitamin Glow side it looked nice, but it was definitely distinguishable as a layer of foundation. I applied the foundation directly to my face and blended it in using my fingers. And then went over it with my EcoTools sponge to build coverage where I needed it. I wore it for over 12 hours again. This foundation is so comfortable, but it wears off in such an unfortunate way. But wow, that blush looks freshly applied. I wish the foundation had the same staying power. If you're ever curious about what products I have on during the wear tests or during my videos, I do have a detailed breakdown in the description box. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into my final thoughts. At the time I'm filming this video, I've worn the foundation for 6 consecutive days. Over the course of these days, I have noticed a couple of similarities. First, it is not very long wearing at all. You'll get 8, maybe 9 hours of good wear time out of this, but by hour 12, you're looking really rough. Second, it never fully absorbs into the skin and it wears slightly mask-like. Barring day 1 of the wear test, I tried a different combination of products every day, trying to find a way to fully melt this foundation seamlessly into my skin. It wasn't until day 5 that I found the perfect combination. When I primed my face using the Becca First Light Primer and used my fingers to apply the foundation, I was able to achieve that perfect my skin but better look. It fully absorbed into my face without looking or feeling heavy. It was completely indistinguishable from my actual skin. Of the application techniques that I tried, using my fingers gave the best results. I tried multiple brushes, and the best brush application came from using the Smith 157. I don't think that either of the sponges that I tried did a great job at applying the foundation. You definitely should aim for applying the foundation in light layers and then building up where you need coverage, instead of going in with a heavy hand right away. if you don't rush it, you can achieve that true skin-like, natural-looking finish. I was able to apply both creams and powders on top of this foundation without any issues. I didn't lose any coverage or lift up any of the foundations, and the powders were able to be applied and blended without having to set my face first. It is a truly lightweight foundation, and I completely forget that I'm wearing it, which is how I managed to do multiple 12-hour wear test days. But it does not wear for 12 hours. By the 12-hour mark, I notice some gathering around my nose. I see some of my more textured areas coming through, and it rubs off pretty much my entire face. Even if I've set using powder or used a setting spray, I don't mind that kind of wear off for a light coverage foundation, but if I'm wearing something medium or full coverage, I do expect a little bit more lasting power. I wasn't able to build to an opaque full coverage. At most, I think I was able to achieve a high medium coverage, and like I said earlier, at that point it starts looking pretty heavy. Personally, the best way that I found to apply this foundation is 2 stripes across my cheeks, 1 line across my forehead, 1 line down my nose, and then a couple of dots maybe on my chin, and then blend it out using my fingers. If I need to build any coverage, I will use my sponge then and build mostly on my cheeks where the worst of my scarring is, and then I will spot conceal any breakouts that I have pretty much around my jawline, maybe a few spots anywhere else on my face. Overall, I'm really impressed with the Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation, and I highly recommend checking this out. I see myself going through this bottle pretty quickly, and I can confidently say that it's replacing my Makeup Forever Reboot foundation. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any other foundations you'd like me to check out or any other videos you'd like to see from me, definitely let me know down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you again soon in my next video.